Hi, Fire Signs, and welcome into your extended for January 2021. And what a year it's going to be. So, to start here, I'd like to make a comment about the entirety of the reading. It is clearly for me and strongly for teams, for couples, for partners. It's although it can be applied, and I'm sure it will be, with little nuggets here and there as we go along, to individuals, but overall it is speaking loud and clear that the message is for some people specifically out there, and you know who you are. So here we go. Overall, what we're looking at is in this January 2021 season, where we assess what went on last year, 2020. We look forward to what we want to have happen. We set intentions. What do they call that? A New Year's resolution, right? We set resolutions for ourselves. A lot of people will probably be reluctant to even try and set resolutions this year because of how sideways everything went last year. That's okay. Set them anyway. Set your intentions, because that's going to serve you no matter what. Okay. But the idea here is that this gateway that's opened up through these cards is pointing at the idea that fire signs, your world somehow is enhanced, and there's an infusion of energy and fire from on high, from the divine, from your higher inner self, let's say, that is there for you as fire signs. And perhaps in a leadership way, it could even mean that you could be called upon to be there in a positive, proactive, engaging, positive mode when others around you don't seem to want to. They want to grouse about things. They want to continue to complain about the way things have been, how it's dragged us down. Well, we don't have time for that. To be perfectly honest with you, we have time to be in the moment and to be working in the moment towards a brighter future, period, the end. And in that case, you are, so the blessing here is that you're getting a heads up. So your heads up might empower you, and could very well empower you to step in at the office or at home, to step into that role of being the energy, being the spark of the positive flame. That's all I'm saying. So in the reading here, the reason I said that the doorway is opening on this scenario is because placed here at the first position in the whole reading, and then in the first position of the second part of the whole reading. So the first position of the first part, the first position of the second part, which ties back to here, is the concept of you're at the end of something. And you know what it is for you. The idea here, though, is that the hidden factor that's just behind this doorway, is that There's an Ace of Swords behind this 10. There's an Ace of Wands behind these 10 of Wands. The Ace is sitting there just waiting for this process, whatever it's entailed, to be done. But the idea here is that take note of the end of whatever process and whatever unfolding evolution you've been engaged with. Pay attention, because there is gold in that for you. Now, what does that mean? How do you do that? How do you take something that you really just are sick and tired of, let's say, you've had enough. How do you take that and get something positive out of it? Do you force yourself? Not necessarily. You can change your perspective and you won't have to force anything. You'll find yourself curious instead of reluctant to do it. You'll be curious about how can I do it? And what I mean by that, it might be best to tell this little tale of a woman I recently read about who, at this moment in time and space on planet Earth, she is 105 years old. She has an office in New York, and she still goes to the office every day. And people wait outside her office to come in to gain little tidbits of wisdom, to get some guidance, to get some inspiration, some of her intuition. This woman has, I think she's got 28 honorary doctorate degrees from different universities. She's been CEO during her lifetime of 4 different corporations, 4 different companies. So obviously an extraordinary person. And she was interviewed by the gentleman that wrote the book I was reading. And he asked her something, and she said in response, she told him about a seminar that she had been to when she was young. And during a break, she turned to a woman friend of hers and she said, "I'm not getting anything out of this." Her friend turned to her and she replied, "In order to take something home, you need a big basket." Meaning, if you have a big enough basket, i.e., a big enough internal self that can open up the territory to possibilities, to the idea that there might be something to be gained that is positive, you build your basket, you open it up, it gets bigger, and then what do you end up with? You end up with something that you take home that is going to feed you rather than take from you. And that's what I'm saying here. These 10s, the kind of attention they want is because they're at the end of the cycle, right? Whether you take notice or not, they're at the end of the cycle one way or another. So by looking at them and by opening up your basket, you set yourself up in this moment, and that's the encouragement of this reading. You set yourself up to glean, to synthesize from that opening the message that wants to be taken with you, something that wants to be taken from the 10 to the ace, from the 10s to the aces. Okay? So in the yin line, I'm going to get into the whole line. The way this all seems to be one magical, circuitous route to the 2. So the yin has been dealing with not only the feelings and the sensations associated with whatever you've been tackling or whatever you've been going through, your team, your partnership, with an additional component of trying to figure it out, thinking about it, being willing to think about it, and maybe even being willing to occupy the territory of the hanged man. To take a time out to visualize, to meditate on what it is, but that's kind of a backward glance kind of an approach. Now it can be turned into a forward motion approach because it's been gained. I mean, you guys are sharing the 10 of Wands, so you're on the same page with something that's in the energetic, passionate world. Passion about the issue itself, the circumstance, the future of it, la la la. The yin can be relied on, however, for some of the intellectual work that they have done to get straight on what just happened. What was this whole endeavor, this whole 10 endeavor, this whole end of the cycle endeavor about? And fascinatingly enough, it's like saying that the yin went to the hanged man, became the hanged man. And it's fascinating to notice that the hanged man is Pisces. Pisces, the last house in the zodiac. The last sign, right? Pretty poetic, if you ask me. So yin did their work. Now, yin comes up to here and goes, boom. I identify with the fact that we share this. We see this on the same page with each other. What about it? So that's how yin feeds into yang. Yin feeds into yang by that identification of sameness, similarity. Yang turns around and goes, I agree. And why don't we, while we're at it, take this opportunity to challenge ourselves? Let's look at what we've gained up until now as an opportunity to initiate ourselves into a new world. And that world is here. The Two of Cups. And notice, please, that little red bird right down on the bottom is the phoenix, rising from the ashes to take flight. The phoenix, reduced to ashes, rises again. See what I mean, though, about this being so engaging and poetic for you guys in terms of that, you know, you're not seeing a lot of fireworks in terms of yay, party, celebration. The celebration is that slow burn that is filled, chock full with energy of the knowing that the phoenix is coming out of these ashes out of this circumstance. And I'm not going to suggest, like some kind of ignoramus, that there wasn't down to earth hard work at some points in this process. Why else would you be willing to take on the Five of Wands right away? A challenge of change, of initiation right away. Because you got tweaked. You got pushed out of the way things were mode. You got pushed into a new realm, one that created the environment where you could really start fresh. And what a nice way to start fresh. This is the celebration of your partnership, of the yin and yang joining together with angelic approval, with the phoenix rising. Wow, right? So I want to throw out a few clarification cards. I'd like to, but not about this. You know what you did with the work. I don't think that it would be fair to try and clarify that for you. If we were doing a personal reading, you could ask for that. But I would like to focus on this wonderful ending of the story, so to speak. 3 cards for here, and what we have is the Hermit. What we have is the Knight of Cups. Wow. And what we have is the Three of Wands. That's cool. Here's why I say that. It was the Hermit's light. What's coming to me is that it was the Hermit's lantern, the light from the Hermit's lantern that guided you through the dark times, perhaps, and has landed you in the lap of the Knight of Cups, the knight that knows the power of love, but is willing to take action upon it. I'm telling you guys, this is like such a wonderful beginning of the year story for you. And last but not least, there are some that say the Three of Rods, Three of Wands is the card of your ship coming in. But it's also looked at as the gate card, a gate card by Rachel Pollack. You might want to read about her sometime. But gate cards are divinely inspired actions, activities that are taken to consciously walk into a higher vibration level. And 3 being the number of creativity, the world is your oyster. You've selected the wand, folks. It's your fire. You've selected your fire. Now, use the other 2 wands as your gateway. Walk through. Hold on to the one you selected and walk through and start your creative endeavor for the future. So, the situation we said before is a star. It's the idea that you guys have maybe one final thing, and one final thing to take care of before the onset of the new beginning with the aces. One more thing. And that's what the Star Lady is bringing to you. She is saying that you are now capable, you have now come to a higher vibration level where the world is going to look somewhat new and somewhat different. It's not going to be perhaps like you're accustomed to. The borders that either you set upon yourself or boundaries that others set on you will be gone, and that will be disorienting, even though it is freedom bearing. I mean, the Aquarius card, right? The freedom. Aquarians love their freedom. They live by it. They die when they don't have it, right? So you're there, is what the star card is saying. But use the messages that you gain by viewing together the end of the cycle to determine your new direction, your North Star, your North Arrow on your compass. Beautiful. The Fool, and let me throw out one vice versa card. Five of Wands. Right? And it's saying that once you have done this Five of Wands, once you have taken that step that marches you into the acceptance of your new Two of Cups world, that's going to help you determine your direction. I mean, is the implication here that you got to listen to your inner self, your higher self? Yes. Is that wrong? No. Is that going to help? Yes. Okay. So the challenge is the Fool. And like I said in the main reading, the Fool's just reminding you to don't forget about him. Don't forget about believing in yourself. And here's the Hierophant. Fool's also saying, I believe in sort of a free form, maybe not too intellectual way. I just freaking believe, period. So I'm going to walk off this cliff and I believe. But it's said also now that he's kind of pulling you back where your helium balloon maybe started to float away a little bit and going, don't forget to listen. Don't forget to stay connected with the divine. Your strength, the Sun card, does that need any enhancement? There is some. Seven of Pentacles. Just Seven of Pentacles. Stay with the Hanged Man philosophy a little bit, is what the card is saying. I'm feeling that it's important to, fire knows fire. Fire knows fire. You know the sunlight. You know the sun fire. But I think the caveat here is to stay grounded and to be patient, to meet out the fire in a moderate way or an appropriate way. Sometimes it's appropriate to flare and to infuse with big blowing fire. Other times, it's good to simmer. And this being your strength is saying that you know how to do this already. And where do we end up? With the Hanged Man again. So Yin, you're carrying that nurturing component in a way of the Yin, the divine feminine. you're carrying that knowledge and the experience and the knowing, just that presence of understanding within yourself that is based on your own experience, that can be guidance for both of you in a very affectionate and earnest, glowing warmth way. You're going to be able to convey the ultimate here, which is the wonderment of your new beginning, the wonderment of walking into 2021 as a new year, no matter what, and taking the time to think long thoughts, to think the thoughts that can take you to, well, what about when we get to August? Well, what about it? If you think about it, you start immediately without even having to try. You start to set into yourself the types of practices, the types of actions, thoughts, feelings. You start to put those into place, the ones that will bring you back to your center, bring you back to this moment, because that was what this moment was always for. It was for giving you the long-sightedness of being able to know that in the action down the line 8 months into the year, things could look different and feel different, but in fact, going here and remembering all of this brings you back to here. You know where you started, and you know what your intentions were. And without even grabbing the steering wheel and turning it back into the lane, the course corrects itself. And with that, I leave you for January 2021. My wish for you is that you have the best year ever. Have fun with this. You are so blessed from what I can tell. Use it. Enjoy it. Be well. Bye for now. Love you all.